Welcome back to the news tonight. One of the big international stories this week has been the London riots, spreading slowly across the country. What really amazed everyone, though, is how Asian areas managed to stay relatively calm. Here's a special report.
These images could be from anywhere in Punjab. But these two Sikh gentlemen, like several other immigrants in the UK, were out in the streets of London helping the police keep the city safe and clean up after the riots that gripped the country last week. Testimony perhaps to the very multicultural ethos of the British capital that many feel is currently under threat. In fact, as concerns over racist violence grew with the deaths of 3 Pakistani boys in Birmingham who were crushed by a car full of rioters,
what's going on? I'm mourning my son, and you lot stand up again. Why? Grow up, guys. Grow up. Go home, yeah. You guys got nothing better to do. Go home, man. Stop messing around.
The unlikely heroes who've emerged from the violence of the last few days are men like these from across South Asian communities.
When I say we are one, I mean all people. You know, we the Asians, the indigenous white people of Britain, the black community, we're all one. We're all together in this.
And also a Sikh TV channel run on donations that was among the first to report the violence and air the appeals.
The whole country has been shocked by the most appalling scenes of people looting, violence, vandalising and thieving. It is criminality, pure and simple, and there is absolutely no excuse for it.
But the questions abound, especially as the riots come barely 2 weeks after a Norwegian gunman with his allegiance to the growing far right in Europe killed 76 people. The English are quick to dispel worries over a growing socio-cultural divide that's fueling the far right in the UK as it is in other parts of Europe. Instead, calling these urban riots without any apparent motivation other than vandalism, using the internet to rally the mobs and looting top-end designer stores after trying the merchandise on.
So it was extraordinary because last night we had a screening and there was a power cut 2/3 of the way through the movie, and everyone was wondering whether it was something to do with the riots going on at the moment. What's strange about the riots are that they're kind of sporadic and they seem kind of unrelated or unfocused, and they seem to be more about anger as opposed to a particular issue.
But parallels are being drawn every minute between what's unfolding now and the Brixton riots of 1981 that also began with police violence against the black community and took place just as Maggie Thatcher launched austerity measures to boost a sinking economy. Like much of Europe, in the UK too, the concept of a welfare state ensures that most of its residents benefit from the state's largesse, like unemployment schemes and the National Health Services. But in a country that's constitutionally demarcated the functions of church and state, where racial or ethnic discrimination is a crime, many say it can't simply be a depressed economy and the lack of jobs that caused these riots. An editorial in the Guardian newspaper saying the riots have set back much of the work British communities have done in the decades since Brixton also says blaming the riots on individual wickedness, conspiracies or government spending cuts is too glib for such a complex issue. Both conspiracy and deprivation are part of the grim story, as is the cult of violence. As Londoners unite to clean up and the UK authorities try to stop the violence from spreading, the questions over what motivated these sustained riots remain. But in this climate of hate-mongering and economic depression that seems to have fallen over Europe, the answers need to come quickly. An NDTV Bureau report.
Well, over to sports, and it's a shocker for Woods fans. Yes, the Tigers still seems to be lost in the woods. The former world #1 missed the cut at the ongoing US PGA Championships. This is only the third time in his career that Tiger has failed to make the weekend at a major. Tiger had a glimmer of hope after sinking back-to-back birdies in the front end, but spoiled his chances in the 11th hole. He fired a 3 over par 73 in his second round after a 77 in Thursday's opening round, his worst first round at any major and his worst round at any major outside the British Open. Woods was playing in only his second event since returning from a layoff of nearly 4 months due to left leg injuries. And finally, on Raksha Bandhan, school children in Jammu and Kashmir have sent their wishes to soldiers on duty at the border. They're hoping it keeps them safe and protected. Zafar Iqbal reports.
Uda Ram standing guard in the Araspura sector, overlooking Pakistani territory on the international boundary. The BSF Jawan from Haryana is away from his family on Raksha Bandhan. But for a while, he felt at home when girls from the local government school walked up to him with Rakhis.
वर्षें तो दूर है, लेकिन फिर भी हमें घर की याद नहीं आ रही है, क्योंकि आज रक्षाबंधन है, फिर भी यहाँ पर राखी बांधने के लिए बहनें आ गई है.
These Rakhis have been sent by school children from across the state as a token of love to the men guarding the border, and girls from the local schools did their bit. The Jawans returned the gesture by presenting cash and gifts.
हमने अपनी ओर से पूरी कोशिश की है कि इन्हें बिल्कुल ऐसा ना लगे कि ये अपनी बहनों से दूर हैं.
Away from their families, it was a moment of joy for these BSF Jawans guarding the border that once experienced heavy firing. But thanks to the ceasefire declared 8 years ago, there is peace now. So the children could spend some time with the Jawans on this very special day. With Jaspreet Singh in the Araspura sector, Zafar Iqbal for NDTV.
That's it from me now. Over to the news in Tamil in just a bit. Stay tuned.